Presentation by Lars, Allan and Mikael. It all started in the 17th century, when the French settlers heard about a great warrior tribe that lived west of the Great Lakes. A tribe the French had contact with called them the Sioux. The tribe's language that meant little snakes. Actually, the Sioux have other names for themselves. They call themselves the Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota. In the Sioux dialects, Dakota and Lakota actually means friends or allied. There are many misconceptions about the North American Indians, but actually the stereotype of the North American Indian is actually based on Sioux culture. That they were savages who used weapons like tomahawks, not that kind of tomahawk, but war axes that could be thrown, bows and arrows, and other weapons like clubs and stones. Another popular misconception is that all North American Indians have spirit animals as guides, or spirit guides. It is true that some had spirit guides, but not all. But it is true that they lived and roamed on the prairies of North America. Another popular misconception about the Sioux warriors is that they had to go through a lot of self-torture to be fully accepted as warriors. The colored area in the middle of the map shows the extent of the prairie. The Sioux roamed the northern parts of the prairie. The prairie is mostly flat, but in the northwestern parts there is a lot of hills. The prairie has a rich and diverse animal life, and once there was millions of buffaloes, but not anymore. They were hunted by the white man until they were almost extinct. The Sioux were one of the last North American Indian tribes to adopt the use of horses. In the last 40 years, it has become more widely accepted that the Sioux had a very ethical culture. But nowadays, the Sioux have become an integrated part of American culture. Until 1970, the Sioux were often referred to as savages in pulp culture. This changed with the Hollywood movie A Man Called Horse. One of the most dramatic parts in the movie is where the main character has to go through the sun bow ritual. In the 18th century, a lot of war was waged on the North American continent. Many tribes took part in the wars, not only the Sioux. In the French and Indian War, the Sioux fought against the French. Until the Sioux encountered the white man, their warfare was based on showing superiority. For example, by stealing the opponent's horses, or in combat, merely touching them and showing them that they could not be defeated. The Sioux came to realize that the white man did not respect what they held most sacred: nature, Mother Nature. And therefore the Sioux had problems with respecting the white man. In the American War of Independence, the Sioux actually fought alongside the British, but only to defeat the French. In the 19th century, the Sioux partook in a lot of wars against the white man. But until the American Civil War, the confrontations could only be seen as small skirmishes compared to what would later happen. 1868 was a very bad year for Sioux culture. It all started in 1862 with the Minnesota uprising, where 500 settlers were killed. Towards 300 Indians were caught and accused of murder and rape, and all were hanged. The uprising started because the white men did not respect the treaties they had made with the Indians. In 1868, the Treaty of Fort Laramie was signed. A part of the treaty was that the Sioux should stay inside the Great Sioux Reservation. But the white man did not respect that, because a lot of gold had been found in the Black Hills in the western part of the Great Sioux Territory. The cavalry tried to protect the gold diggers, but not always with success. A United States cavalry division was sent to the Black Hills to try and drive the Indians out of the Black Hills. That became the start of the Great Sioux Wars. The United States government sent the most elite cavalry, the 7th Cavalry, to the area. The Ministry of War issued orders for the armed forces to execute the indiscriminate killing of all Indians outside the territories not under the control of the Indian Agency. All of them. Later, in 1876, 1/3 of the 7th Cavalry, led by General Custer, tried to slaughter an Indian settlement on the banks of the river Little Big Horn. The cavalry was unaware that over 2,000 Sioux warriors had gathered nearby, and General Custer's cavalry was slaughtered. Until then, some U.S. citizens believed that the Sioux, as other Indians, had rights. But after the Battle of Little Big Horn, the general populace agreed with the government. The Indians were a problem. After the Great Sioux Wars, there was a 10-year period with relative peace, except for some rogue elements fighting. But in 1890, over 300 old men, women and children were slaughtered at Wounded Knee, and that was the last big confrontation between the United States and the Great Sioux Nation. After that, the Sioux were subdued. If we were to point out one major difference between the Sioux culture and the white man's culture, it is the way they see the relationship with the world around them. The Sioux believe that man belongs to earth, and the white man believes that earth belongs to man. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we hope you may have a very nice day. Thank you very much.